I'll admit it. My mind seems to constantly race, thinking of all the things I need to do in any given day. It's stressful. As founders and leaders, it's hard for us to quote unquote turn it off. There's always the fear of forgetting something really important. There's a lot of juggling going on, and we can't afford to drop anything, let alone let something fall through the cracks, never to be seen again. Hi, I'm Alicia Butler-Pierre. Having a central place to put all of your tasks and action items, categorize them, and assign them to others not only gives a sense of accomplishment, but also the comfort of knowing that everything you've captured won't be lost or forgotten. You're about to hear from someone who will share with us her favorite technology for managing the tasks, projects, and workflows that power a seven-figure business. You might be inspired to do the same. It's time to dish those sticky notes and endless lists of action items floating around in your head, and instead leverage technology to stay on track. This is Season 14, Episode 179. Let's start the show.
Welcome to Business Infrastructure, the podcast about curing back office blues of fast-growing businesses. If you're a business owner or operator looking for practical tips and solutions to scaling your business in a sustainable manner, you're in the right place. Now here's your hostess, Alicia Butler-Pierre.
Having a tough time trying to explain ideas over a video conference? Try the ThinkSmart Whiteboard. It's the fastest whiteboard software in the world and allows you to upload flowcharts and write on them while your colleagues are watching remotely. Call us today for a free demo. The number is 1-866-584-6804 or visit us online at getmytablet.com. Now that's smart. Think smart. This episode is brought to you by Equilibria Incorporated, the company behind this podcast, where we design scale-ready business infrastructure for fast-growing small businesses. We are nearing the end of Season 14. Can you believe it, everybody? The time is just flying by. In this season, we've been learning about technologies that our special guests are using to revolutionize the way their businesses operate. And here to add to these discussions is the one and only Kate Erickson. She's joining us today from Puerto Rico. I'm so jealous. Kate is what I affectionately call the heartbeat of the wildly successful podcast, Entrepreneurs on Fire, also known as EOFire. Now, if some of this sounds familiar to you, if you're a fan of this show, it's because, as you know, Kate has already blessed us with her operational insights before. But this time, we're going to focus on a key technology that's changed the game for how EOFire operates. And that technology is Asana. Kate, welcome back. How are you?
I'm so good, Alicia. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me back on the show.
Oh, we had to do a part two, right? Because we left off kind of abruptly. We were filming or recording, I should say, live at Podcast Movement Conference. And, you know, I said it earlier, or just a few seconds ago, rather, that time flies because, Kate, I was thinking about our first recorded conversation, and that was a little over 3 months ago, like back in August of 2021. Here we are now at the beginning of December 2021, but it seems like so long ago.
It feels like forever ago. I feel like time is just in a really weird place.
It is. And we're just going to go ahead and blame that on COVID.
Yes.
Now, I'd quickly like to bring folks up to speed on how we met. Again, it was at the Podcast Movement Conference in August of 2021. And I had the opportunity to meet both you and John Lee Dumas, also known as JLD, following an amazing keynote speech that you gave about the back office operations of EOFire. And John is actually the person who suggested that we do an interview together. And so now here we are for part two of that conversation. And where we left off in part one, you were sharing with us, you know, we were talking about your background in English and marketing and even banking and how you ultimately became, again, that heartbeat, or for lack of a better word, the chief operating officer, if you will, at EOFire. And I'd like to pick up, Kate, kind of where we left off, because again, you mentioned several technologies that you all leverage to keep EOFire working like a finely tuned machine. But first, for those who are listening, would you mind, if they aren't familiar with EOFire, I know so many people are, but for those who might be listening right now and still maybe saying, I'm not sure what that is, can you please explain the company itself, the podcast? I know there's books, there's products, there's all kinds of amazing things that you have going on. So can you please first tell us more about Entrepreneurs on Fire?
Yes, absolutely. So Entrepreneurs on Fire was launched in September of 2012. So we've been at the podcasting thing for quite some time now. And the podcast was launched by John Lee Dumas, who is my partner in business and also my partner in life. And he launched the podcast on his own because he saw a need for a daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. So he was driving in the car a lot and he was running out of podcast content to listen to, because back in 2011, 2012, people were podcasting, but like maybe an episode a week, every other week. And so he thought, if I'm in the car every single day for my job, there are probably other people who are too, looking for inspirational content about, how people are taking control of their future and starting their own businesses. And so he set out to create that podcast, and he did that with Entrepreneurs on Fire. About 6 months after launch, he had gained quite a listenership. And he started having people reach out to him and ask him, like, do you do coaching? And can I sponsor the podcast? And like, what do you have for me? I want to be an entrepreneur. Like, can I pay you money? And he came to me one day and he said, Kate, I can't do this by myself. What do you think about quitting your job, joining me on the team? And we can actually start building, products and services and things to help people. We can start a community. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so on board for that. I actually wasn't at first because we had only been dating for about a year. So I was like, I don't really know if starting to work together right now is the best idea. But I was just like so on board with his vision and mission and what he wanted to create. And coming from a very, very corporate background, not really knowing too much about entrepreneurship and this whole idea that you can actually take charge of your life and create your own future the way that you want, so that when you wake up in the morning, every morning, you're not dragging yourself to a job that you don't like and spending 8 hours in an office with like no sunshine or anything. And then spending all this time in the car, ho hum. And I'm like, I want to help other people know that that's available. So yes, let's do this. So I joined the team April 2013. And I mean, you mentioned it in my intro, but really why John and I have been able to grow this business the way that we have, and the reason why us working together has resulted in not only, a much stronger personal relationship, but like we're still living under the same roof and running this business together, is that we are total opposites when it comes to what we are great at. So John's very much like a visionary, and he's great in the forefront, the spotlight on him. He's got the microphone for the podcast, and I'm really good at like all of the systems and all the things that you and I love to geek out on. So yes, that is like a nutshell version.
And speaking, you mentioned how just 6 months in, people were already starting to reach out to John and asking for more of him, right? More of the content, more of his wisdom and insights as an entrepreneur. And now all these years later, as of this recording, we're in 2021. Can you kind of run down some of those impressive stats again? I know the last time we talked, Kate, it was right at over 100 million downloads, 3,240 episodes. Oh my gosh. I know the number of episodes has obviously increased, but yeah, can you kind of share some of those bragging stats again with us, please?
Oh my goodness. Yes. So we are over 100 million downloads. We're over 10 million in revenue. We've created multiple communities, online courses. John has launched 4 books to date. We have journals that, help people accomplish goals, increase productivity. We actually have a podcast journal that helps people start their own podcast. That's our flagship course that we've now been running for 8 years, which is so exciting, is a online podcasting community where we help people create, grow, and monetize their own podcast. You know, we've both spoken on stages. You mentioned that we met at Podcast Movement, which I keynoted. So we're both speakers on a lot of stages. John just got back from speaking at a conference called ClickFunnels, Funnel Hacking Live, put on by ClickFunnels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're both big speakers. And yeah, it's been such an incredible journey. We've continued to grow our sponsorship relationships, which is super exciting. And yeah, we have the online courses. And we just keep continuing we've done in-person events. We do masterminds. So sky's really the limit once you kind of get that snowball going, because once we started having our audience reach out to us and ask us questions and, you know, ask for mentorship, it was kind of like we just started listening, and what the majority of our audience told us they wanted, we went ahead and created it. So it's been an incredibly rewarding experience to feel like we're on this journey with our audience, and that has served us and them very well.
So I can already tell, Kate, by listening to everything you just said, that you all, a major part of the success is your customer centricity, right? Everything is centered around your listeners, your community, and really listening to what they're asking for and what they are actually telling you, and building these products and services around that, right? So with that being said, obviously with that type of growth, operating at that level, at that type of scale, you obviously have a team of people that you're working with. But not only having that team, you also have to have the right technologies, right, to grow along with you. Speaking of technologies, again, when we first talked, you were so kind enough to share with us so many of the wonderful technologies that you all use to help streamline as well as automate some of those back office operations over at EOFire, one of which was Asana. So we've had others come on so far this season and talk to us about ClickUp and Monday.com, which are kind of in that same space as Asana. But again, for those who are listening right now, Kate, who may not be familiar with Asana, or maybe they've heard of it, but they still aren't really sure what Asana is, can you explain what is Asana and what exactly does it do for you all at EOFire?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know there are so many great tools out there that are kind of in the same wheelhouse as this. And I've been using Asana, I think, for 8 or 9 years now. And anytime a new one pops up, I'm interested to check it out and see what it can do. And I always go back to Asana.
I know. It was just starting to get good, right? Well, there's more where that came from. To listen to the full interview, be sure to click the link in the description box below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell so that you'll know when our next episode drops. Until then, keep operating smoothly.
Join us next week for another episode of Business Infrastructure with Alicia Butler-Pierre.